suggesting those who fight against it are not part of humanity. She adored chess, yes, but also military war games. Dolores Day often holds a tiny tin soldier between her index finger and thumb in icons such as this. She was also blonde, the blondest woman you have ever seen, with green eyes the color of the Pacific, mare interregnum. Little is known of her Marchese husband. It's as if he vanished from history after completing his role, which was to introduce Dolores Day to court. In conclusion, yes, there is something lonely, paranoid, and even terrifying that people seldom mention, but feel when they think of her. This subtle terror is part of her iconography.
Lieutenant Yefreitor, you've stood there for over 5 minutes. What are you thinking of, if I may ask? I don't know about that. It was a different time, a different war. Either way, this church, the coast in general, we shouldn't linger here. This isn't a good place to get lost in. We should conclude our business and move on.
A jigsaw of broken shards falls into place in front of you, a ghostly reconstruction of the stained glass window. Before it was shattered, there was an older woman beneath the younger one, and a text, a light motif below them both. Unknown. Something during the raid the lieutenant mentioned, or just hooligans looking for something to break. The escutcheon on her throne says, Irene the Navigator. She is depicted as an older woman wearing thick-rimmed eyeglasses, holding a golden Reichsapfel in one hand and a scepter in the other. This is the queen her innocence day advised. Above, she herself is whole. Small figures of wise men, common men, worshippers walk up the stairs to stand at her feet. Secret servicemen, Theriers, stand in a row guarding her. It must have taken years to produce this work in all its dizzying detail. Below both women, in luminous black letters, Après la vie, mort. Après la mort, la vie de nouveau. And then, along the left side, Après le monde, la gré. Après le gré, le monde de nouveau. After life, death. After death, life again. After the world, the pale. After the pale, the world again. This is the great leitmotif of humanism, a summary of the effect of the discovery of this isola, the Insulindian, on human thinking, a tremendous sea change akin to finding life after death. Could these words be the password that unlocks the filament memory?
Death, life again. After the world, the pale. After the pale, the world again. This exaltation is common in Dolorian sacralism. In the early years, it was even incorporated as the RCM slogan. No more, however. It was deemed subservient to use a strongly moral intern-related motto. We already suspected of bootlicking. The sentence was also seen as too feminine. It was a macho thing. Justice, union, prudence, and force. You are brutal and done. Death. This exaltation is common in Dolor. It was deemed justice, union, prudence, and force. Not at all. Death. This exaltation. Justice, union. Eyes cool. Death. This exaltation. Justice, union. So do I.
The mother of humanism towers above you. A wax painting on a cracked pane of glass. Nothing has changed in her expression. The machine's keyboard is still. The speaker comes.
Good afternoon. Votre accident on Saint-Brune. This is the East. It's good.
Let's look around. There's no use trying to guess the answer.
Receive. Votre accident. Is there anything else? Goodbye.
The machine's keyboard is still.
Hello again. No, I'm afraid I can't help you with this one, officer. It's just a regular day off for me and Mikhail here.
So you haven't seen anyone around?
No, I'm sorry. As I said, this is just a day off. We just arrived anyway.
There's something friendly and familiar in how he says that. A day off. He's telling the truth. He hasn't seen anyone. All the traps are stopped. A metal and plastic contraption bobs up and down amidst the trembling reeds. At first, it just looks like trash, but if you look closer...
That, over there. Must be the boy class you told us about. The one she hid her passport in. We should take a look.
Ooh, hidden things, secrets, lies. You lift the boy out of the water without much effort. It's not tied to anything. The cords dangling from the bottom appear to have been cut. The number 11 has been written on the yellow plastic. It hasn't been in the water for very long, but it's already discolored and slimy with silt. A latch holds it close, but only just barely. The brittle metal of the latch has cracked.
Simple construction. Very unsafe.
There's something in there, splashing around. It smells like you would expect it to smell. A concentrated version of the coast. Salt, industrial slop and decay. The water this side of the peninsula is cleaner, actually. Smells a little salty. A shot glass's worth of seawater pours out, some algae, and nothing else.
Well, damn. I have no idea. Or think we do. This is a small loose end, either way. Not important, I hope. In my experience, cryptids are generally uninterested in travel documentation. We should go.
You could ask the miss what she thinks, later if you have the time, though you doubt she'll tell you much at this point.
We still got here too late. There's nothing of use here anymore.
A row of ghostly shades facing a crumbling wall, with another 7 shades stand a cold sea behind this building, the other one, once filled with engineers and designers of Feld Electric. As you approach, the man turns and greets you with a polite wave. He appears completely at ease, like a common holidaymaker.
Ah, super. It's the officer. I was not expecting to run into you again, but things have a funny way of turning out, no? What brings you down to the scenic Martinez coast? Well, that's très simple. I was visiting the fishing village just north of here. They have applied for a series of microloans to revitalize the old market, and well, I wished to see the situation firsthand. And then, well, I had some extra time on my hands, so I decided to stroll down here. It's quite peaceful, isn't it? Yes. There's nothing like a stroll along the coast to lift one's spirits. Really? Here? How can you be sure? Ah? Is that what those pockmarks are? I might have guessed. Fascinating how much history is contained right here, if only one knows where to look for it.
Are you just going to let him get away with these generalities and euphemisms?
Well said. Let us just be grateful that we don't live in such fascinating times. Ah bon? I'm all ears, officer. And then, well, well, you know what they say. In matters of taste, there can be no dispute. For my part, I find it quite invigorating. Ah? Is that what those pockmarks are? Ah bon? I'm all ears. And then, well, I had some extra time on my hand. Really? Here? Ah, a very useful gift for a police detective, I'm sure. Fascinating.
Are you just going to let him get away with the...
Well said. Let us... Ah bon? I'm all ears, officer. My friend, if it's la responsabilité you're after, I have good news for you. There's no need to form such a committee, because it already exists.
God, of course it does. These moral intern types.
The Comité de Responsabilité de Revachol. It acts as a sort of clearinghouse for coalition activities. To put it simply, they are the ultimate arbiters of la responsabilité in this part of the world.
Yes, this is just the sort of reasonable authority you're looking for.
I would offer to connect you with the committee myself, but alas, I am not actually in Martinez.
What? Where is he then? He's speaking figuratively. He means he's not in Martinez in his official capacity.
Précisément. Officially, I am still in La Delta, preparing for an upcoming conference on fuel oil derivatives. That's why it would be extremely irregular, or potentially even inappropriate for me to intercede with the committee concerning a district I'm not officially in. Yes, you've made your persistence quite clear. Under normal circumstances, I would have to insist you go through the regular channels. But if you have information of a vital interest, they might be willing to entertain an exception. In which case, I would advise you to contact them via Coalition Warship Archer. You see, in addition to being an airborne artillery platform, Coalition Warship Archer is also the linchpin of the Coalition's surveillance and communications infrastructure in Revachol. And listening. It has the most objective vantage point in the entire city. Not to mention a vast array of radio, photographic, and meteorological monitoring instruments. I find it a great comfort to know there are benevolent powers watching over all, in strict accordance with the Wayfarer Act and the Bristol-Mühne Convention.
The Bristol-Mühne Conventions are a series of international agreements governing the treatment of military personnel and civilians in theaters of war, as well as occupied territories. In practice, they are more talked about than observed.
This is quite the problem. Very tricky. Of course, the Archer has orders to fire on any unidentified aerostatics that might approach it, so it might be safer to get in touch from the ground.